In this week's episode, we'll be talking about the movies and TV shows that we've been watching.
Robin Hood sucks.
How to be a millionaire.
Baggage handler falls asleep on plane.
An employee of Jesus is killed by a tribe.
Gay man sentenced to 15 years for tricking straight men into sex.
Self-driving hotel rooms.
Man rapes cow, says it was his wife.
Murderer gets an Xbox, and more.
I've abandoned my child!
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to episode 51 of The Harsh Review. This is our post-Thanksgiving Black Friday Cyber Monday extravaganza episode. My name is Sean, and with me is my brother Ryan. Hey, Ryan, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, everybody out there?
Yeah, not much, dude. Did you have a good holiday?
I did. It was very relaxing. Spent the Thanksgiving holiday at a friend's family's house. Not sure if I'll be invited back, though.
Uh-oh.
Something happened.
Did you blow out the bathroom?
No, not this time.
What'd you do?
Well, the last two times I've been there, I almost killed or injured somebody.
Uh-huh.
Let me back up. So the first time I went there, I brought the dog. Because everyone's like, "Bring the dog."
You mean Todd?
So they're like, "Yeah, bring the dog." I'm like, "All right, I'll bring the dog." So I bring the dog. This is last year, and dog's very happy and wants to say hi to everybody. And there's a very old man there, sitting on the couch. Well, Todd jumps up and starts licking him, and then scratches this guy's arm. And if you know anything about older people, they injure very easily. So this man started to bleed profusely from his arm. To the point where I thought his arm would rot off his body.
Jeez.
It was pretty crazy. They had to get gauze and shit and wrap his arm up. And
what's he doing the whole time? Is he freaking out?
He's kind of, he's very stoic, but it's he's, he wasn't pissed at me or anything.
It's not like I'm fucking dying over here.
Yeah, hey, the stupid dog. The dog's nails had just been clipped, so I don't think they were that bad, but
yeah,
apparently a little scratch. This guy turned out to be 91 years old, so
you got to protect the elderly, man.
Yeah, so this time around I did not bring the dog. I was the man did not show up. I hope he's still doing okay. This time though, I was told to bring my signature dish, I suppose, which is their crock-pot collard greens, which is kind of an alternative to the old green bean casserole that everybody gets, which I like.
Signature dish.
But, that's what they told me to bring because I brought it last time. So I'm like, all right. Yeah, they're like, you're not coming over unless you bring those collard greens. They're so good. Da 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 da. Not trying to toot my own horn. So night before I make the greens, to make them really kind of pop because the flavor is not bitter, but it's it's something that not everyone's really used to. You add a little bit of spice, not a lot, but I added a little bit of spice. So a little tiny bit of red pepper flakes, a little bit of hot sauce just for flavor, right? Bring it over the next day. Everybody's, those look wonderful. There was another elderly person, an older lady was there. She was a neighbor, and she saw the dish, and she was like, "Oh, I'm from the South, so I'm very excited to try these." And so I'm like, "Oh, great." So the pressure's on had to live up to something. So we all sit down and she's sitting next to me and she takes a bite of these collard greens and she starts choking to death.
What?
Really bad. She just to the point where, she was gasping and her husband was like, "No, it's okay. She'll be fine. This happens." I guess the greens were too much for her. So she never, they eventually got her okay, but it was very jarring to say the least. I didn't know what to say after that. I didn't think they were that hot. There were some children there and their father was like, "Kids, don't eat the greens. They're a little spicy. So eat them. If you're going to eat them, just eat them a little bit at a time." I didn't think they were that spicy, but apparently some people's taste buds aren't as, I don't want to say refined, but
Sure. So you almost killed a lady.
almost killed a lady and almost killed a guy last year. So hopefully they'll invite me back next year. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
She's
it's not
fine.
really. Was she just
Fine.
hogging him down or what?
I don't know. And then she said, "Oh, it was also the mustard that was on the ham." And I was like, "All right,
That's not me.
Yeah, I have nothing to do with that." So,
Oh my god.
yeah, it was pretty dramatic, though. I mean,
Yeah, I didn't.
everyone else seemed to like them, so I guess they weren't southern enough for her. I don't know what they do down there, but
Yeah.
that she didn't have a little kick.
Well, I woke up to on Friday, Black Friday. I woke up to a semi-murder scene that I had to solve the crime in my own house.
Oh, did you wake up in like a dinner murder mystery scene?
No. So, we had some guests over and we cleaned up the place and one of my duties is to get one of those magic erasers and go wipe off all of Kevin's boogers and ear goop that he sprinkles onto the wall when he flaps his head around.
All the wall scum.
He gets it everywhere. It's disgusting if you have a bulldog. So anyways, and then the next morning I come up and like all along the hallway and the corners of the stairs and all the areas that I kind of cleaned, it's all like red, like everywhere.
Oh.
And it looked like it was blood all over the place. I was like, what the hell was this? And so, first thing I do is go look at Kevin and I don't see anything with him. He's a black and white dog. So you figured if it was him, I'd see blood. There's nothing on the cats. I'm like, okay, well, maybe
Right.
it's not blood. Maybe like there's some oxidation or I rubbed away some of the paint and as it dried, or I don't know what's going on.
Or you're in a haunted house.
So I couldn't figure it out, but it seriously looked like, someone dragged like a dead carcass all along the walls and all the corners and up and down the stairs. And so later on that night, I'm watching Kevin, and one thing he likes to do is when I turn on the heaters, because it rains a lot up here, he puts his ass like right up next to the heater. And I'm like watching him. I'm like, you should get your ass off that heater, buddy. And then so he eventually does. And then I see like this hot spot on his ass, like right near his tail. And like, if his corn piece is like right in the middle of the clock at like 3 o'clock, like a couple inches up next to his little nubby tail, I see this little hot spot. It's all kind of crusty. And
what do you mean hot spot? Like a burn mark?
No, dogs get like a hot spot where like their skin gets all irritated and it kind of flares up, and sometimes they'll lick it a lot. Like they'll get them on their paws sometimes, and so it's just like an irritated skin. And so, anyways, clearly what he'd been doing is rubbing his ass all over along the walls and the corners of the apartment, like itching his hot spot that he got from parking his ass in front of the.
A lot of humans do that too.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah, so it's pretty gross because it's like, okay, well, now you rubbed his ass all over the apartment. Now I gotta go clean up all this ass blood from Kevin.
Right.
Thanks, little buddy.
Did the magic eraser do the trick?
Yeah, it worked great. Thanks, Mr. Clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's about all that was eventful. Trying to figure out who done it.
Right. Clue.
Yes, Clue. So outside of that, just been watching a lot of movies and shows. I had a couple extra days off. I know you've got a huge list. Is there any notables you want to call out while we're at it?
Yeah. Well, I finished Daredevil, season 3. Couple takeaways from that. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. Vanessa, if I hear that name again, I'll go crazy.
That's doing it for
right. That's
Vanessa.
Yeah. Vanessa, and then also, I did notice that when he put his jacket on her.
When?
Remember, in the last episode, like they were in his apartment or whatever. Kingpin put his jacket on Vanessa.
Yeah.
She kind of looked like David Byrne in that Talking Heads movie.
It was a big white jacket.
Right. It looked like it was a big suit. So I was like, yeah. That was interesting to me. But I really liked it. I mean, he's definitely like the centerpiece of that show this season more than the last one. Daredevil just gets his ass kicked like the whole
nonstop
run. It's just like it's unbelievable. I mean, it's super powers and stuff are not really coming to him or whatever. It's just getting his ass handed to him every episode. So that's okay. But enjoyed that. Watched Narcos Mexico. Burned through that in like a couple days, actually.
Yeah, it was great.
It's excellent. I made the mistake of, I think around season 7, I was like, let's find, because I like these, when I watch these shows of historical import, I like go online and say, let's see how he looks, if he looks anything like the guy. So I typed in Kiki Camarena, and
Spoiled.
then pops up, like the first thing.
Yeah,
what
of
happened
course. I did the same thing, man.
Right.
I learned what
guy.
happened to him before the show told me.
Yeah. Such a great character. Show overall was just, it's just really riveting. It's like, it's kind of like The Wire to me, where I want to go back and watch it all the way from the start now.
Mm-hmm.
And just, it's like, it's got a lot of rewatchability. It's like a really good book. I like how the narrator for the whole season, like, you didn't know who the guy was, but he sounded familiar. And then they used that as a way of introducing the new character at the end of the show.
Yeah, it was very clever.
Very clever. Like, I've never really seen that done before in that way. So that was kind of cool. So now it's going to be like, now we kind of know what's going to happen for the next season.
Yeah, they haven't officially renewed it for season 4. This is, or season 5, right? 4? What is it? 5?
Well, there's 3 seasons of Narcos, and then this was Narcos.
That's
Mexico,
right. That's right.
So
So this is technically season 5. Yeah.
Right.
So they haven't renewed it officially, but hopefully they do. It's an excellent show.
Yeah, it's probably the best thing they have on. Every season has just been, I killed it like 2 days, 2-3 days. It gets a little heavy at times, but you just can't stop watching it.
Yeah, and
everything's great. Everything's great about it.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Got around to watching Peaky Blinders season 4, which I knew came out a little while ago, but
I'm so behind on that show. I need to get caught up.
Yeah, and the thing about that show is that Manchester accent, kind of kept me.
You got to put
the
subtitles on, man.
Yeah, but I'm like, I like a challenge.
Okay.
So
I'm like missing key lines of dialogue, and I'm like, what's going on? I better do this.
Yeah, it's a great show though. I mean, it's just the way it's shot and everything is really cool, and how they blend like modern music with, it's set in 1925. This season it's only 6 episodes, but it's pretty hard hitting. We run afoul of the Black Hand, which is Sicilian mafia. So we have Adrian Brody, who showed up.
Oh, is he in it?
Yeah, he's great, man. He's pretty much channeling like Vito Corleone, if you can imagine that, like with the voice and everything. And but he's way more sinister. So it's like, he's great, and then the family, of course, is a hot mess. Littlefinger's in it. He was also Mayor Carcetti in The Wire. He shows up. He's in there for a little while. He's got a pretty good role. The gypsies are a little more involved in this season. It's always nice to see Tom Hardy show up. So he's, because he made his first appearance, I think, in season 2. So he's going to show up. So really cool show. I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah,
I need to get up on that one.
6 episodes. Looked online. They're going to be doing it for 7. So they said the guy who created it said they're going to do 7. So now we got 3 more to go.
Okay.
For this particular show. So
nice.
And the last thing I want to say I watched was Amazon Prime, a show called Homecoming, which is directed by Sam Esmail, who we know him from Mr. Robot. And this particular show, I found out a little bit later on, is based on a podcast. So it's one of those pretty popular these days, like the serial type podcasts where they're telling a story. Some of them are true. I believe this one's all obviously made up. Julia Roberts is in it. Nucky Thompson's brother is in it.
Hey, Nucky Thompson.
Yeah, he's in it. Other guy, I can't remember his name. He's from Vinyl.
Bobby
show Vinyl.
Cannavale.
Bobby, yeah, he's great, man. He's a really good actor. He should do more stuff. He's in it too.
He's always a hot-headed Italian in everything he plays.
Yeah, and he's pretty much the same in this one. He's just, not really like Italian, but he's like the villain. So it's a cool show. It's done with I think it's like 10 episodes and they're like a half hour each. So it's, definitely sticking to like that podcast kind of format, the way it was rolled out. They're about the same. But it's really cool. I don't want to spoil too much about it. It's very very Hitchcock, so a lot of suspense, some really cool twists. Acting's really good. Basically centers on it's an organization called Homecoming, which helps soldiers transition back to civilian life. And then the main character, Julia Roberts, starts finding out what they're really all about, and then stuff kind of starts unraveling. So it
How
flips
is she?
back and she's great, man. She looks like she hasn't aged a day. It's pretty much all on her most of the time. So it's like you kind of see how she does. It goes back and forth from like the past to the present, and they do some really cool like camera effects that I noticed that I kind of used in Mr. Robot, like just kind of the shots, or I noticed a lot of them are the same that he uses. Really kind of cool and innovative to see in a television series. So I thought it was kind of neat how they did the show. But it's really quick again, like Narcos, pretty quick watch, but I definitely recommend it.
Homecoming.
All
right.
Yeah.
I've seen it on there before. I just haven't really
Yeah.
done it yet.
Yeah, it's a new show.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, check it out. That's all I got for you.
That's it? All right. You're on a roll.
Yeah.
So I watched, I've kind of been burning through a lot of things. So I watched the new Mission Impossible.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. So I got a lot of good action. It was a little bit, this is kind of, ironic to say, but it was a little bit over the top for me compared to some of the other ones.
What you think about like the timer in the end was a little off.
Yeah, just a little bit,
Bit. I mean, like, how they had to get back to that little village and they're on a helicopter. It's like, there's no way they're going to make it.
I know, of course. It's just that's why it was just too many like Hollywood cliches going on, but it was very, very James Bond-esque in this one, more so than most. I even was thinking like halfway through it that James Bond could exist in the same universe. They could get Ethan Hunt and James Bond together. But anyways, if you like those action movies, it's well done. It's entertaining, but it's just all of them are always over the top, and they always have really cool technology and those kinds of things. But this one was just a little bit more than needed. It needed a little bit more organic action. Like everything doesn't have to be huge. They had some really cool chase sequences, some really cool, deceiving things, and then it kind of just went like, I don't know, a little too Arnold Schwarzenegger days, Last Action Hero kind of just a bit much in certain areas, but it's still a fun watch. It's entertaining if you're looking for a good action show.
Yeah, I saw this in the theater. It just seems to me like what they're cranking these out. It just seems like it's Tom Cruise proving that he could still do these stunts. That
he does. He's in great shape.
Yeah, he is. And I heard he got passed over on Jack Reacher because the guy said he was too short or something. I heard that's like a new little news story.
Oh, for the show?
From the movie series.
Well, he did 2 of them.
Yeah, and I guess the guy doesn't want him back for a third one.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's too short. That's what he said. So,
well, he is pretty short.
Yeah.
I watched Incredibles 2, which killed it this year at the box office and just made a ton of money. It's one of the best looking Pixar movies as far as some of the scenes and things that they're able to start doing now is just crazy good. And it's just really clean animation. It's a good, simple story. It's entertaining. It's well made, but it just looks awesome. So if you're a fan of any of those kind of Pixar ones, this has got a lot of those comic book elements to it, to where the last one came out like 10 years ago. So it was pretty cool for a Pixar kind of movie. definitely different story than how some of the other ones have been, but either way, it was still pretty good. I've been burning through. I started watching The Americans. I mean, I saw like the first season years ago, and then stopped, and now I'm like halfway through season 2, which is a great show on Amazon. It's got, not all the characters are good, and you kind of just want some people to die already. But I don't know. Have you watched that whole show yet?
No, I think I did one season. I'm kind of working my way through it, but though, I mean, it's on my radar. It's just there's a lot of them, so it's like
yeah.
I really want to dedicate myself to it. I do like it though. I think it's really cool. I like how they kind of involve the current events of that time and work the characters into it. Makes you really kind of understand what that Cold War was all about, especially in that time period.
Sure. Plus, if they had more of a production like Narcos or something, I think the plot and the premise would be even better.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell that they don't always have the budget, at least in the first season to 2 seasons. I'm sure it's going to continue to evolve, but it's well written and it's well executed for most of the folks. But so far, I mean, it's good to watch. It's entertaining.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, give that one a tug. As a courtesy to our buddy Matt over at the Not for Human Consumption podcast, I've been chipping away at the Next Generation Star Trek.
Hey.
I'm almost done with season 1, and I taken it as advice. Remember, he said, season 1 is almost kind of like the pilot. There's 121, 122 episodes of this thing. And so I'm on like 15 or 16, and some of them are better than others. I'm giving it a long leash because it's 30 years old. But what I do like about it is that it's very dialogue driven.
Yeah.
It's not very action driven, which I think is kind of refreshing.
Seems like the actors are better too.
Yeah, some of them are better. I mean,
Yeah.
given the time, I mean, it's almost not so much the actors, but the lines that they're given.
Okay.
But Picard's awesome. I mean, he gets a lot of great lines and he delivers it really well. But some of the stories and stuff they kind of tell, you're just like, well, I'm just gonna roll with it. But this is kind of cheesy.
What about Data?
Yeah, I mean, you start to kind of get them. Like at first glance, you get to kind of realize like, what's this guy's deal? Then you kind of realize like they don't really establish it. All the depth of each character. Like you slowly get those as the season goes on. You start to learn more about it.
Yeah.
And there's an episode where they go back to like his home planet, and there's like an evil Data and all that kind of stuff. And then you start seeing the differences, and it was kind of interesting to kind of go like, okay, so now I'm starting to get some context here.
Sure.
Which is fine. And I think it's like the perfect length for that format of show. You're getting like 30, 35 minutes. If thing wasn't like an hour straight, it'd probably run a little bit dry because it's primarily dialogue driven. But it has
Battlestar's like that though, I think too, right? Like Battlestar's.
I haven't watched Battlestar yet.
An hour. Yeah.
Actually, I have watched some of it, but it disappeared from Amazon Prime before I could get locked in.
Matt loves that show too.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
we gotta.
So there's 2 things I kind of learned about Next Generation. One is like 20 years ago, I didn't give 2 shits about this show, and there's like no way I would have watched it. So you kind of notice that like the older you get, the more open you are to certain things. Plus, you might realize that it just wasn't connecting with me because I wasn't ready for this type of story or whatever the case might be, especially when it was relevant.
Yeah.
I was watching other stuff, and
you might also realize it might be better than Star Wars.
I would probably say it's definitely much more thoughtful, and I think there's more you could take from it and apply to your personal life, I guess. Star Wars taps more into your emotion, and it deals with spirituality and stuff like that a lot more. So it's kind of like, it feels like Star Trek was written by an atheist and Star Wars was written by like somebody who loved Jesus or something, like there's just a different type of point of view, I think, how it approaches technology, where Star Wars literally is a space opera. just a story that's told in that period of time, but it could apply to any period of time where Star Trek needs to be in the future in order to accomplish the way that they're telling you a lot of the stories. At least that's how I see it so far. But I mean, I'm only 15 or 16.
Good analysis. Sure.
But also I remember, I went to Universal Studios and went through like the Next Generation exhibit that was next to Waterworld, early 90s, where they even had like the make the people disappear from the bridge or whatever, that kind of thing. They had like the one you could sit down and get your photos. And I was like super bored, but that thing's long gone. But it'd be kind of cool to go see it again, but it's gone.
Yeah.
I just remember I was having flashbacks to the whole exhibit and waiting in line and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got the dumb A-Team van. Like anybody knows all those references that go there anymore.
It's just so lame.
So a couple others I'll just throw out real quick. I started watching a show called The Last Kingdom on Netflix.
Okay.
Vikings, England, fighting each other, starting off pretty promising so far. So if you like Vikings, check it out. They got 3 seasons. The 3rd season just came up a couple weeks ago, and Netflix kept pushing it. So I was like, all right.
Production value pretty good on that one.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, watch the first episode, and if it doesn't get you there, then move on. But it was enough for me to kind of continue. And it starts to go in different directions. So, we'll see how that one goes.
Put that on my list.
I tried watching Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah.
I gave up, man. That
movie is so slow.
Oh my God. I couldn't do it.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Candlestick Maker. Like what?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I read an article where they said former spies said that movie is the most accurate in regards to any like spy movie or TV show ever made. So I was like,
spies suck then if that's the case.
Well, I mean,
it's so dry. I mean, it's got a great cast. That's the thing. It's
that's what I was tripping
British
out
guy. It's like, oh, Tom Hardy, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch. Oh, it's of course
Mark Strong, John Hurt, Gary Oldman, Toby Jones, Colin Firth, Benedict Cumberbatch, Stephen Graham. He played Al Capone, I think.
Yeah.
In Boardwalk. Yeah, and so. Yeah, it's a good, strong cast. I mean, the premise is in the bleak days of Cold War. Espionage veteran George Smiley is forced from semi-retirement to uncover a Soviet agent within an MI6. So it's a good premise, but Jesus, I couldn't even make it 15 minutes, and I was like, you know what? I gotta come back to this with some serious caffeine and just like lock in.
Right. I think I that was my experience. Like I started at one time. I think it was late at night. And I'm like, I can't do this. Like, so I just when you start something, you just gotta give up.
Yeah,
I can't.
No,
I rarely
don't give up. I commit.
Yeah, but I'm like, dude, so I went back to it like maybe a year later, and I was like, all right, I'm ready for this because I saw the cast, and I'm like, but it is
gotta be good, right?
It is, but it's more of an acting piece, but it's so slow.
I know.
It's so British too. It's like everyone's all prim and proper to each other. It's like all like, I'm going to kill you now, sir.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's all polite.
Die.
Yeah.
Any last wishes?
Oh, sorry, chap. I'm gonna
tell my mom I won't be there for biscuits tomorrow.
Stick this needle in your bum, and it's going to take 10 seconds. You'll be dead. Sorry, chap.
Well, I've kind of had this bad habit now. Like when I'm not really into something, but I want to watch something, where you're kind of like putzing around on your phone half the time. And so that kind of didn't help. But like a show like Narcos, like I couldn't do that because like 80% of it's in Spanish.
It demands your attention.
Wait, what? What are they saying? I have to read it.
Right.
So that doesn't always work. But I couldn't do it on this one. So
no,
I said I'll come back to it. Yeah. But give
it a year.
Yeah. I'll just chip away at it.
Yeah.
Last thing I watched, Don't Ask Why. This is kind of the one you can go back to. It's always a soft spot. Let me see if I can, find a couple. Well, I'm sure you know what it is. It's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh, yes. Kevin Costner.
It's Kevin Costner, Morgan Freeman, Hans Gruber, and Guy of Gisborne.
Uh,
Yeah, it's
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
for a Robin Hood movie. I remember as a kid, this movie was badass.
Oh yeah,
But as you get older, it kind of just is so cheeseball. Where
It
like
is.
Little John's not really that big.
Yeah.
They're all
Get it?
wearing
It's like
like
yeah.
I know. I'm a John Little. I might have to
Yeah.
call you Little John. You're like, okay, well,
Yeah. All right, pal.
yeah. Azim has like the most stereotypical things, all the lines they get him,
Yeah.
and always talking about Allah and all that kind of stuff. Christian, always calling Robin Hood Christian.
Yeah.
And then Hans Gruber is just way over the top. There's a funny clip I saw
Yeah.
on YouTube of like his death scene in this movie where it's like those little things ticking away, and it's like second he gets stabbed with that knife, like the little ticker kicks in.
Oh
It-
yeah.
it goes
He's
like
stumbling around the room
40
for like 20
seconds.
minutes.
Yeah, it's like 40
it's just
something
like,
seconds.
"Ah!" The music's like crescendo. Yeah.
I know. It's pretty good.
They were like, guys, we got a lot of extra
Yeah.
film here. Let's see how we can burn this out.
I'm going to cut up Robin Hood's heart
Yeah.
with a spoon. Why a spoon,
Yeah.
cousin? Why not an axe?
You didn't
Because
die.
it's stole, you twit. It'll hurt more.
You didn't die slow enough in Die Hard when it took him like 10 minutes to fall off that building. Remember that?
Yeah, he's
When he falls off it's like in like super slow motion. This movie, he's
Yeah.
like, "Ugh." This movie it takes
I-
him like good 20 minutes.
the best line that Sheriff of Nottingham has is he storms out of his room and he goes to one wench and he goes, "You, my room, 10:30 tonight." And then he walks a couple more feet and then he says to some other wench, "You, 10:45, and bring a friend." You know,
Yeah,
So-
man's got some stamina.
yeah, sounds like
You know?
it.
He's also a minute man because it's gonna be 10:30 to 10:45. She might be a couple minutes late, so
I know.
skip the foreplay.
Yeah, and then the crazy part about it is they show up in camp, right? And they
Right.
literally just bring hell with them. And he's just sitting there all cocky, like, I'm Robin Hood, and I'm gonna train you all through a montage on how to fight with bows and arrows, and let's use the force to our
Force.
advantage. But then little
How hard it
John's,
is to shoot a bow and arrow,
I know. Well,
dude. It's
they-
so hard.
they have one shot where all the peasants like miss the targets by like a mile, and then they show a couple other people doing something, and then the next shot of them trying it, like they just bullseye it all. You
Oh,
know?
yeah. That's how it
Um,
works.
Yeah, it was just that montage was a little quick, and I think what's kind of crazy is they go out and they're staying the night like in their Ewok village that they've got out in the woods. And the girl's giving birth, but the baby won't come out. So Azim is like, "We're gonna have to cut the baby out." And the guy's like, "We can't have him. He's not a Christian or whatever." And he's like, "I've seen it done before on a horse." And so he goes in, and then like a minute later, he pulls the baby out of her stomach, and then she's all like coherent. "Oh, hey, what's going on?" And
Yeah.
then she's up and about the next day.
Yeah, chopping firewood.
You can't do a
Make-
C-section out in
making
some tree
stew.
fort. I mean, you got to cut her open, pull out her guts, bring out the kid, put her guts back, sew her
No
up.
sedative.
No, so it was just a weird thing to have in the movie. As a kid, you didn't really think about it, but as an adult, you're just
No.
like, okay,
Like, no way. Every
No
5
way.
seconds. Like
I know.
that would never happen.
So we'll end on that crazy one. But
All
you
right.
you mentioned to me recently that Robin Hood sucks.
Yeah, so that's a good transition we have because we have a new Robin Hood, and this is something they keep going back to. Like every 10 years or something. It's like, let's try it again.
Every 10 years, it's like
know.
every 3 or 4 years. The last one
Well,
I remember was
the last
with,
one was
what's
last one was
this?
8
Gladiator.
years ago. Yeah, last one was 8 years ago.
It was okay.
Yeah. So this film came out this weekend. Looks like. And it had a 14 million 5-day opening, and the budget was just under 100 million. So basically, it's in the running to be this year's biggest blockbuster bomb. Yeah. So
Anybody could have seen that coming. So this is with who? Who's in this one?
this is with Taron Egerton and Jamie Foxx.
He's from like the King's. What's it called?
Kingsman.
The Kingsman, right?
Kingsman. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like,
You got Mendelsohn in it, though,
13%.
right?
yeah, Yeah, right. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd think I would save it, but no. It's a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, 8 years. Also called Robin Hood. They keep trying to do this. I would say the best one is the Disney one. At this point, even Robin Hood.
Robin Hood walking through the
with
forest
the little fox.
What a day!
Robin Hood Men in Tights is probably a better one. But
but
people
that
on
doesn't
Twitter,
hold up.
Yeah, but people on Twitter are saying like the problem might be with the casting. It's just like white guys are either British or they're trying to be British, like Kevin Costner or whatever. But yeah, so not a good showing for this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, Robin Hood's a good story, but you kind of have to be a little bit authentic with it. Yeah. I mean, if it was authentic Robin Hood, then I think it's probably better for more of like a Netflix or something like that, where you don't have to accomplish all these milestones within 2 hours.
Sure.
And so a lot of the other ones kind of rushed it. That's what I kind of liked about the one with Russell Crowe is that he wasn't, like the hero like Kevin Costner. It was like this, golden-haired guy swinging through the trees, and he's all smart, and you just take it all for like his lore. They don't really establish like how did he learn to fight? How did he do all these things? Like they just kind of do some of that through dialogue.
Well, he's like a mythical person anyway, so it's like you have to kind of establish that myth. But people say he might have been real, but no one really knows. But I think I mean the more interesting character is the sheriff to me. But he's not going to save this movie, even if it is Ben Mendelsohn. So
and in the Robin Hood with, with the what's his head, he Russell Crowe, he basically was not quite Robin Hood yet. Like that's what comes next. So it's kind of like his origin story.
Get the shit kicked out of him every 5 minutes.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Well, so we'll give it 8 years. We'll get another one. Suck just as bad. So
there we go, Robin Hood.
Yeah, that's my entertainment news. I got some other odd news stories, but you want to take care of entertainment first, and then.
I don't have any other entertainment news you want to talk about. If you have other stories you want to shift to,
I got some odd, interesting stories that catch my eye. It just seems like these stories more than the entertainment news, which is mostly just Avengers.
Yeah,
honestly, which I don't mind, but it's like, okay, guys.
So hit me with something that caught your eye.
Oh, okay. So this one is takes place in England, jolly old England, which we just talked about. Gay man is sentenced to 15 years in jail for tricking straight guys into sex. So he was accused in September. They just sentenced him last week or the week before, 15 years in prison. His name is Duarte Xavier. He's 33. Basically, he used the app Tinder to engage men with photos of a quote-unquote good-looking female. And then once they got the phone number, he used a feminine voice, and he arranged sexual liaisons at his flat or at a park. But one caveat, the men had to wear a blindfold throughout their encounter.
Oh, I was about to say, like
stay with me here. This is getting so this guy had been arrested twice before, but he committed a lot of these crimes when he was out on bail. So the judges didn't have too much nice to say about him, but they did hear from the victims. So one victim says he suffered extreme stress, anxiety, panic attacks, and depression after being used. One guy, he discovered the identity after he lifted the blindfold after receiving oral sex. So he's getting oral sex, and then he lifts the blindfold, and then he says, "I saw this man with a beard."
Just now figured that out.
Wowzers, right? Wowzers. This guy said he was obviously he was pissed off upon learning his date was not a woman. My reaction was I slapped this man in his face once or twice, and I said, "Why didn't you tell me the truth?" So the dupe man went on to tell the jurors he had matched on the dating app. The woman was named Anna, and Anna wrote, "Be my obedient toy." He then went to Xavier's flat, and he was told to put on the blindfold. And then afterwards, after the encounter was over, Xavier started to pester the man. So it gets worse. We heard a second man. He said he also received oral sex. And then two other people claimed they had anal sex with the accused. They believed it was vaginal intercourse. I don't know how.
Okay.
So
you heard it here first, folks, on the Harsh Review. We've taken a sharp right turn.
I'm not done yet. I'm not done. And then one of the men, another guy, there's a lot of guys here that fell for this shit, duped into having anal sex, admitted that the blindfold encounter began with oral sex, and he found the oral sex to be quite pleasant, Sean.
Yeah,
He said it was different than anything else, but sex with a woman. I have not experienced anything like that before. Yeah. So, police are still looking for people to come forward, but this guy is facing 15 years in jail. Judges just find him to be extremely deplorable.
I'm sure he's going to have a blast in prison.
Oh yeah. I mean, he can't really fool anybody there, but we know what happens in jail. We've all seen Shawshank Redemption. So
yeah.
The sisters will have their way with Xavier, sure. Speaking of jail, this is in America. There's a murderer in prison, and basically he was. This is in Minnesota, and his name's Doug Stewart. And for the past 8 years, he was likely the only person who knew of his estranged wife's remains, because he killed her. So, but this changed recently when he led police to the grave where he buried her body, and they found her remains buried in a 5-foot deep hole in Wakashima Township in the southern part of Kalamazoo County. Sorry, this is in Michigan, not Minnesota. My bad. They married in 2002, and then they moved in somewhere else, and then they returned to Michigan in 2010, and then she was reported missing. So he was arrested, charged with first-degree premeditated murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree premeditated murder. Convicted. Long story short, part of the deal was, that he got an Xbox for his efforts.
An Xbox, not a PlayStation?
Yeah, so he had he made a little deal, and he said 3 Xbox consoles will be given to the veterans unit at the Saginaw Correctional Facility. They'll be allowed 30 minutes of play at a time, but they won't be connected to the internet. So no online gaming for these gentlemen. Only sports games will be allowed, nothing too violent.
Uh-huh.
And then the same gentleman, who looks pretty creepy in the picture I'm looking at right now, he will also be allowed to participate in a program to train dogs. And he'll also be allowed to teach a class. So he's getting, quite a lot for his efforts.
Well, at least he gets to kind of redeem himself, but
yeah,
I don't know if the Xbox is the right move, but
yeah, but whatever it takes, Sean.
Yeah. Hey, if you're in that situation, you got to negotiate. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess more power to you.
Yeah. We have another incident involving an airplane. So this happened with a baggage handler, plane from Kansas City to Chicago. And basically this guy fell asleep in the forward cargo hold of the plane and stayed there for the duration of the flight. It was only about an hour flight, but he basically passed out in the cargo hold of the plane and then woke up in Chicago.
So he didn't even wake up mid-flight or anything?
No, he was a baggage handler, so he was drunk.
Yeah.
So he admitted he had several alcoholic beverages, because there's nothing like, getting loaded and then throwing a bunch of bags onto a plane, Sean. It's
wow.
It sounds great.
That's a hell of a story, though.
Yeah, he was discovered upon arrival at the gate. So it's one of those where they open the thing up and they're like, hey, squinting into the daylight.
Where am I?
Yeah. Did not receive any injuries, no medical treatment needed. They did not release
froze his ass off.
Oh, totally. 27-year-old man, not injured or anything, but basically he was staffing the forward cargo hold, and then I guess he just passed out.
Jeez.
This stuff happens, I guess. Last one, going back to the sex stories, because I know you want to hear more of these.
Yeah.
This one really caught my attention. The headline alone Man accused of raping a cow claims it is the reincarnation of his dead wife. This happened only in the beautiful state of Texas. A man of Indian origin was arrested for sexually molesting a cow on a ranch. His name is Rajiv Chowdhury. I hope I'm not butchering that name. 34. He was found half naked, sexually assaulting the cows of a ranch owner. The ranch owner first thought that coyotes were the culprits, messing with his cows, but then he found out it was this guy. The guy asked him not to shoot, told him he wouldn't do it again if he didn't call the police. He said that, he said the cow was a reincarnation of his wife, and when asked what the hell he was talking about, he said the cow had the same eyes, smell, and taste of his deceased wife. And this gentleman, only as a Texan, could say, I don't know what those Hindus preach at church, but that sure sounds to me like the church of the devil.
Yeah.
That's pretty
how
much
he
what
sounded
said.
too.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing there, but this guy, he lost his wife and, obviously like traumatized. In Hinduism, sex with animals is not an uncommon theme. And as you know, by cursory glance at the religion, a lot of their deities share like half human, half animal features. So, and the cow is very revered in the country of India. So, bestiality is surprisingly illegal in that state since 2017. I guess before then it was totally fine. So only for a year it's been illegal, and offenders can face a maximum penalty of a year in prison and or a fine of no more than $4,000.
Jeez.
Yeah. So,
well,
that's what's happening, John.
You definitely
Back to you with the weather.
Put your life into perspective, I guess.
A little bit.
Yeah, back to me with the weather.
Yeah.
How do I?
How's it going up there?
Yeah. How do I change gears out of this?
Hey. I put you in this quandary. You got to get your way out of it.
Yeah. I'm gonna change tones here a little bit from Xboxes and sexcapades across the world. A couple things I just wanted to kind of mention. So, I came across some Business Insider article, about some guy who says that he grew his net worth by over $100,000 in 2 years, and he did it by only saving $5 a day. And he's like 28 years old. He's already like ready to retire, basically. And what he basically says is that you take $5 a day and you invest it into the stock market, which traditionally has a 7% annual return, and you'll be able to make that, $100,000 in a couple of years. So, but that's at investing $30 a day. So he kind of started off $5 a day, and then he got up to $30 a day. So at that rate of $30 a day, 7% return estimated annually in the stock market, you will be a millionaire in 30 years. So that's what his calculations are. I just thought it was interesting. I mean, does that sound like something you could do? Do you think that you could save $30 a day and invest into the stock market?
I don't think so.
No,
sounds pretty risky. I'd need a really good, stockbroker.
Sure,
for that to happen. But it's.
I mean, it's like $900 a month, and
yeah,
you do that math, and it kind of snowballs from there. I mean, you don't have to start that big though. You could do it $5 a day.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting. That's kind of like doing the math, going like, wait a second, like, what's the rule and what's his thing? And so he kind of has proven it, at least with his financial portfolio. But it was just interesting because I know that, a lot of people, will have a hard time saving money. All of us can struggle with that. But when you start thinking of it in those kind of increments, I'm going like, oh, okay, $5 a day. I mean, what are any techniques that you do to save money, or any areas that you're cheap? I don't know if you inherited the cheap, harsh blood or not.
Nah, well, I always look at it as like just things I've done to save money is like more cooking at home. I am a subscriber of like a meal prep service. So, the thing about those meals is they can serve two and there's just one of me. I'm not feeding the dog all my leftovers. So I'll save the extra portion and take it to work for lunch. So that, there's a lot of fast food restaurants where I work that I'm very tempted at times, but it's a lot more healthier and cost effective to, eat your own lunch, especially if it's somewhat healthy.
Yeah, for sure.
But also just kind of saving money and I like to buy things for myself and, things I'm interested in or like, but I don't go like super crazy, I feel like I don't have to spend a lot of money on like clothes and things. I have a lot of what I need already. So, nothing too, old school in terms of saving money, just a lot of common sense and not, spending money on stupid shit.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true. It's tough because I'm a tech geek, so I like getting new toys and I like learning new things, and I'll buy various, online courses to learn different software, different stuff like that. But
yeah.
I mean, I have an app called Digit. It's free. You can download it. You connect your bank to it. And what it kind of just does is siphons money from your bank account at like a very reasonable rate based off of your spending habits. So it kind of looks at the age of money that you have in your account. It watches the quantity of transactions and over time, and it starts to kind of gauge like, I can siphon this much from you and you really won't see much of an impact.
Right.
But then at some point you control it 100%, so you can transfer it right back to your account if you want. But it's a really easy way to kind of like just save money without having to actively set money aside, especially if you look at like your checking and go, okay, I have $300. That's got to last you till my next paycheck. And it'll slowly keep siphoning from you, and you can tell it to slow down or speed up or stop or pause. I thought it was a kind of a cool app for that.
Yeah.
Check it out.
I'm pretty
Digit.
sensible. Try to be sensible that way too. A lot of my money goes like books and DVDs.
The media.
Stuff for the dog, essentials I need, of course. But yeah, I mean, I see people go into debt, and then you look at like how they're spending money, and a lot of it's related to like maybe addiction, whether it's like shopping addiction or gambling or drugs or things like that. So, just try to be sensible, people, with your spending habits.
Yeah,
we're trying to help you out here.
Do you use anything in particular are you still like a pen and paper checkbook kind of guy, or do you use any of more like the modern online budget tools and stuff?
I go with the modern online. Like one thing I'll do when I budget, I kind of teach this stuff in the class I teach, is like I have a list of, the bills I have to pay on my phone. So I use the notes feature a lot. So I just have a list of like, who I pay bills to. So around the first or second, of every month, I'll sit down, pay my bills, get that out of the way. Used to use the old ledger, but not really anymore. Used to like save every little receipt, not really.
Yeah.
I just keep track of my spending on my calendar.
Yeah,
or my calculator rather.
I many years ago, maybe 2011, I want to say 2010, 2011, when I was playing a lot of Steam games, and Steam's a online gaming service where you can buy a lot of computer games and play them. Then you launch them through your Steam portal, and they had some sale for YNAB. You Need a Budget. It was like $15, and it's budgeting software basically that is different. It's made by some pretty young guy at the time from New York. So I gave it a go, and I really liked it because it has a different approach. Because I was using Mint.com for a long time. And so I killed using Mint, which kind of syncs everything together and allows you to kind of budget, forecast, and determine, at this rate, how much am I going to have by X or Y. But now it's just YNAB.com or You Need a Budget. It's obviously evolved quite a bit, but since I was kind of like an early adopter, I get like this cool grandfathered fee. Now I think it's probably like $60 a year or something like that, which is totally worth it. But 45 or 60, I don't remember what it is. But it has a different approach to how it manages money, because it only lets you budget actual money you have. It doesn't allow you to budget future money. So, for example, it says, okay, if I have a bill that's due on the back half of the month after my second paycheck, for example, but I don't have the money for that now, I obviously can't allocate money to that. So if all your expenses are different buckets and then you have your money in your hand, you can only put it in certain buckets until it runs dry. So you have to decide, how am I going to spend this for the next 2 weeks, as opposed to, I'm going to budget for the month but I actually don't have that money. I'm just going to bank it that way. So then eventually you start to build up what's called age of money, which is a metric that reflects how fast a dollar comes in and out. So like from a GAAP accounting principles or general accounting principles, if you look at a FIFO approach, first in, first out, which is often utilized for like inventory, but you can also utilize it for dollars, and which is another way in which interest and stuff is calculated, is the longer a dollar sits in your account, the more money that it gets to yield as far as making you money. And it might say the age of your money is 10 days. And that means that right now, as it stands, your money's going to last you 10 days at the rate at which you spend, et cetera, et cetera. And your goal is to get it to be to 30, which is the very first time that you actually feel like financially somewhat stable, is if your age of money is 30 days, which essentially means that you could stop making a penny today and you'll be able to live for 30 days before you're flat broke. It's a good metric to kind of allows you to look at like the risk that you have.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you take credit cards, like a truck payment, student loans, I'm a big finance nerd, and I do a lot of that kind of stuff at work as well. But I recently connected my YNAB account to this other free service. It's $12 a year, but you can do it for free. It's called Undebt.it, UNDEBT.it, and it's software that calculates what your snowball payment would be, which is something that like Dave Ramsey, he kind of developed this. This is the best way to pay off your debt, is like the snowball strategy. Have you heard of it?
No.
So what a snowball strategy is let's say you pay $1,000 a month in debt, and that might be student loans, car bill, any kind of credit card or anything like that. And let's say that that's over the course of four different forms of debt, right? And if you just pay the minimum payments on it, the first thing it tells you is going, okay, at this rate, minimum payments, you'll be debt free on X date. And it can you put in your percentages, you put in your APR, and it'll calculate exactly how long it pays to do that. So for example, the wife's got a PayPal account that's got like $1,000 in it, like a PayPal credit card. Minimum payment's like $32 a month. If you just paid the minimum payment, it takes almost 10 years to pay off that $1,000 because of interest. So what it really tells you is it's telling you like, hey, wake up. This is how much you're going to be paying in interest just to keep that debt healthy or active. So back to the snowball method is where, let's say that you pay off your lowest balance first, and then the highest balance is last. So let's say the lowest balance card I have is $100 a month. I pay that off, right? And then instead of now my minimum liability is $900, it's down from $1,000, but I still stick to that initial $1,000. So then I take that $100 that was going to go for that first card and I roll over to the next one. And so now I'm paying more on that one until that one is paid off. So now let's say that, I'm down to my minimum monthly of $500, but I still continue to invest $1,000. So then I take all that money that would have gone to two cards already paid off, and I start treating it, and so forth and so forth. So it
I gotcha.
Snowball.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I just didn't know it was called that.
But what's interesting is getting all that data, plugging it into the software, have it compute what your snowball is in the time frame, and then you can decide, like, it'll say your minimum monthly debt payment is X, and I go, I'm going to chip in an extra, I can only afford to chip in an extra $300. And it goes, okay, here's how much you pay on all these cards, and it'll map it out for decades, however long it takes you to pay off your debt. And this
probably
is the
pretty
fastest.
depressing.
Well, it's the debt itself isn't. It's the amount of interest you pay that is just crazy.
Yeah,
you're
that's how they
paying
make their money.
You'd be paying more interest than the actual value of the debt you have, all while that money is just sitting there making a money on interest. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
But I thought I would, just kind of mention those things. If anybody likes managing their finances or wants to learn more about it, check out YNAB or Undead and various tools. I always enjoy, balancing the checkbook and planning for certain things and budgeting your money. And it's just something as you get older, you got to pay more attention to. I don't want to have to pay rent my whole life. I want to be able to retire. And you can look at it and go, what's going to happen in 20 years? So
sounds
that's
sounds like we found the new host of Mad Money.
Mad Money with the Hush Brothers.
No, this with you because I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah. No, but if you guys got questions on it, let me know. More than happy to indulge.
I'm not a personal finance man.
Well, I mean, so this kind of connects to like expenses that are not necessary, and one example of those is Amazon Prime, and everybody loves Amazon Prime, but lately, Amazon people have been calling out like a public outcry to cancel Amazon Prime. And a lot of it is just because of
the fee increase or
no, just because of like the ethics of Amazon.
Oh yeah.
And, the working circumstances there, people are underpaid. They have, monopolistic practices, tax avoidant, poor treatment of white and blue collar workers. They've been doing lots of union busting. They do environmental damage. And then they did that huge publicity stunt for HQ too, which they settled in New York and over in Virginia, I believe. And so lately everyone's just kind of going like, we're getting kind of sick of Amazon, and they're calling out for an outcry to, it's like one of those, small business Saturday kind of things. It's just, it's been on my mind because the consumerism for Black Friday and all that kind of stuff. It's a bit much in this country.
A little bit.
I mean, I get it. If you're in business, you gotta play along because the dollar's out there. And the craziest thing about that is the money's going to be spent. It's just like, where's it going to land? Is it going to go in your pocket or somebody else's pocket? So if you're in business, you have to play the game. But you can be a differentiator in some certain ways. But anyways, back to the story. So it's been getting a lot more steam with Amazon. And I'm just kind of curious, like, is this, like, at what point would you cancel your Amazon Prime? Like, what's it going to take?
It was like $150, but I mean, I do like it. I mean, I get, I do buy a lot of stuff off of Amazon, so it's nice to have it in a couple days. But I mean, if I hear some shocking things about the company, it's like, I might think about canceling it, not supporting them. But,
well, they're already that kind of company, and Jeff Bezos is the richest man ever to exist.
Yeah. I remember when Amazon was just books.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, such as Netflix was just like DVDs. So it's like these companies, we just kind of watch them grow before our eyes, and then it gets out of control.
Well, they're evolving, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's supposed to happen. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a good question, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I kind of look at, am I dependent on Amazon Prime? I look at, am I buying stuff that I wouldn't normally buy because it's convenient and I can have it in 2 days?
Sure.
I look at, is it changing my habits or behavior? I mean, I don't really care about Amazon Prime Digital. I can do without that. There's not a whole lot of direct programming on there that I think is must have. So I think it's a good e-commerce tool. It's definitely very convenient. I think that especially if you start automating things, it definitely takes it up to another gear. But, you vote with your dollar, and if the company's practices are something you don't ethically agree with, you can choose to vote with your dollar, or you could look the other way. I mean, we're all going to be some kind of hypocrite that comes down to it. Like, I know Apple went through all that because all their stuff's produced in China, and, people are killing themselves at the facility where they work because of the working conditions just to bring us expensive iPhones.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just something interesting to think about. But I started researching a little bit, started seeing like this Twitter movement about Amazon Prime and people calling to cancel Amazon because
Of course. Everybody's
Yeah.
got to be railing against something, I mean, we're all kind of sucked into this capitalist nightmare anyway, right? So might as well make the best of it,
We got
Sean.
real dark over here. Yeah.
We're that little chamber orchestra playing on the Titanic. We're keeping it up.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
We're
us.
keeping it. We're holding the flame up here.
Put a lid on it, Zane.
Yeah.
So moving into some tech news that kind of caught my eye. Oh, I lost my story. Hold on.
Oh no.
I know. Hold on, it's right here. So in Canada, this was pretty cool. They've been developing a self-driving hotel room that they claim is going to revolutionize travel. Now, it's basically like a train. I mean, isn't that kind of what a train is?
Yeah.
But it's like a single pod. It looks like a large version of one of those things in Minority Report, where they believe this is kind of the future for a lot of like long distance travel, specifically between 6 and 10 hours. And it's designed has all the elements of a hotel room, where you have a sleeping space, a workspace, a little kitchen, a toilet, a sitting shower, and an entertainment zone. And you get in this pod transport kind of thing, and it takes you over long distances on like a preset track or whatever. You can get it in various sizes. They call it the ATS. And you select your start and end points of your journey, and you can add stopping points if you want to stop at gyms and restaurants. And the system works out your route, so it's kind of like automated driving on the road, but it's like the hotel. And it's designed for like long distance travel. And they've been developing and testing it up in Canada, and I just thought it was kind of a interesting, concept, where I know that Tesla's been doing self-driving semis, which I think is going to be the future for mass transportation, like with semis. We're just,
as long as they stay out of my way.
Yeah, get out of my way. But
use the right lane, buddy.
The lot lizard business will plummet. But
yeah,
I don't know. You see yourself riding in one of these things? Would you go in one of this?
As with like the self-driving Uber or car, I kind of tend to approach these things with a little trepidation. I do like to wait it out a little while and see how it goes. Today someone crashed on the freeway, and guess what? No, it was a self-driving car, and it's like, all right, well, I mean, these things are like any product are going to be in its developing stages for a while, so it would be interesting, but it would totally change a lot of things. It kind of takes the fitness activity out of travel. I mean, part of travel is moving around a lot, and it sounds like this is all kind of done for you. Part of traveling too is finding out like how to, it's kind of fun how to, I'm at a hotel. How am I going to get to this? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? So this sounds like it's taken to that whole other level where you can just plan it all out and it's all over the place. But it sounds interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. We
shall see. The future of hotels.
So the last one is one that it's a story about that Jesus guy who was killed by the tribe. You heard about this, right?
Tell me a little more about this one.
You haven't heard about it, or have you?
Well, I know there's a Jesus guy who was hung on a cross, right? And then he came back. He came back 3 days later. As like a zombie god, a zombie Jesus. Because that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, I'd be going,
the Bible doesn't really say it, but that's what happened.
Yeah. He's like, I just got really hammered at a party, passed out for 3 days, and woke up in a cave.
What's going on? Yeah, this is quite the prank. You elaborate prank. You put a gigantic rock in front of this cave I passed out in, and
so there's this.
No, I don't know anything about this. Tell me.
North Centennial Island, out near India. There's like a very isolated tribe on the island. It's about the size of Manhattan. And some American John Allen Chow, 26-year-old dude, really felt compelled to go and spread the word of Jesus to this tribe that hasn't been contacted by like modern society. They've intentionally been protected by the government, not only because like you could bring a common flu and it could just decimate them because their immune system can't handle it.
Right.
But they're totally cut off from the normal world, and there's estimated maybe 50 to 100 people there. This dude feels compelled to go and spread the word of Jesus, and they shoot him and kill him with their arrows.
Whoa.
So,
Like right off the bat, or do they give him a chance?
not necessarily. So I've kind of, I've been reading a couple different stories on it, and I've been enjoying all the memes in the NFHC chat
Of course. Yeah.
which I actually saw first. I didn't understand the context of it. And then I saw the news story, and I was like, oh, I get it. Yeah. So,
hey.
Yeah, so he decides to go and on that forbidden island, and he gets just mowed down. They discovered like his last letters, and now they're trying to figure out like what do we do about body recovery. And he was just on some self-prepared mission to do it, and he was willing to die, but he said he was scared, but compelled to go and declare Jesus to these people is what he said. He said, quote, you guys might think I'm crazy and all this, but I think it's worth to declare Jesus to these people. And so he had like 13 pages in his journal that was recovered. And he went and tried to give the tribe gifts, and a boy shot an arrow at him. He expressed fear, fatalism, frustration. This is all according to the New York Times. And so he left and then decided to go back and hope that he would be received, and he was not received. Welcome, but he paid fishermen. He paid some fishermen to take him to the island at night. And he even says, like, quote, the Milky Way was above, and God himself was shielding us from the Coast Guard and Navy patrols. He's from Washington State, so I apologize on behalf of everybody in my home state.
He sounds like he sounds like Grizzly Man. He sounds like Grizzly
kind of
Man.
Right. It's the death mission.
It's like, it's like poking the bear. How long, like you just think you're gonna make some kind of difference, but I mean, has this guy ever watched the movie Silence? Or I mean, you know what I mean?
That's exactly what it reminded me of. Was that snooze fest Scorsese put out?
Yeah, totally.
But so here's like the order of events, right? So he pays some fishermen to take him there. He goes under night so he can get in. He's got a waterproof Bible, right? And his whole plan is to the North Centennial tribe to spread Jesus, and hopes that they all receive him. The last time a fisherman accidentally drifted shore in 2006, they were killed. So everyone knows these are hostile people. Don't go there. You're going to die. And so he said that 2 armed Centennialese came rushing out and yelling. He tried to give them like fish and gifts. They had 2 arrows each unstrung, and then they got closer, and he hollered, "My name is John. I love you, and Jesus loves you." So he gave him fish, but the islanders kept coming towards him, so he turned and paddled away. And he said, "I felt some fear, but was mainly disappointed. They didn't accept me right away." So not taking the hint.
Arrows at you, pal.
Yeah, not taking a hint, he decides to go back. And there you have it. So, Dunzo.
Did he offer him something else this time when he went back, or
I don't know, but
some Ritz crackers. What do you guys think?
Yeah. So he's just an idiot. Wow, crazy what some people do. I mean, I get it if you're that convicted with your religion, but at the same time, you also got to kind of, that's a little too fanatical.
Yeah, and it's been happening for years, though. I mean, that's that movie we just talked about. That's real, and that did happen. Some people don't take to you just messing with their existence,
Yeah.
So that's how. I mean, it seems like an old school thing, but it's not. There's still parts of the world that are kind of hidden, and they want to stay that way.
Well, and it's also like, regardless of what your beliefs are, that like you have to go and push this on other people. I don't know. Like
that's not still happening, right?
I spent some time in church and learned a lot about it, and there's some nice folks and there's some reasonable people, and then there's also just your typical crazies. your fanatics and stuff like that. But I think the crazy part is that you can drink the juice only so much before you kind of realize that like there's a rational part of my mind that just couldn't make a certain leap. And
yeah, but Sean, some people don't have that rational part of their mind. You know what I mean? It's like some people are okay not questioning, or even like thinking, oh, science might have a part in this too. So it's not everybody's going to be, I've known some people in those situations, and they aren't very intelligent,
Yeah, I mean, I've studied a lot of. They don't get it.
Yeah,
yeah. I've studied a lot of different religions. I enjoy the topic. I like seeing like how, a little bit more from the point of view of like a Joseph Campbell,
right.
where why do societies make religion and what the labels and the beliefs, like how are those formed as humanity evolved throughout the years. And so when I would go to various churches or different things like that, I always kind of went like very curious. And then you get to a certain point where you're like, wait a second,
yeah.
And then you kind of go okay,
what?
Yeah. There's always that moment. I mean, I was a guest at a Mormon church a few times. And that was pretty nuts. I've been to a Greek Orthodox ceremony. I didn't understand anything they said, but it was kind of interesting.
I remember when I was a kid, like I'd stay the night at my friends' houses, and then on Sunday we go to church. So there's this one church I went to. It was actually in this dude's house. Okay, it wasn't like really a church. And then before the service, we went to Sunday school. Okay, now Sunday school was like me and 4 other kids in this preacher's like office. And he pulled out these comic books, and they were about like.
You know where this is going?
No, but they were like like they were about like rock. They were about rock bands, So like one of them was about Black Sabbath and how before a Black Sabbath concert, they would be in front of the venue handing out leaflets to attend an after concert seance or black mass.
Yeah.
There was like Led Zeppelin, and so. This like coincided with my interest in that kind of music, because I was
like propaganda against it.
Exactly, yeah, it was.
Okay,
it was
okay.
like, it was like it wasn't like propagating this stuff at all. Like these were like actual comic books, and I'm like, I scoured the internet for these since, and I haven't been able to find them. But it's like, it's like I want to know about these bands because they're making way better music than this other stuff, that's going on. I don't know.
Interesting. I didn't know about this.
Yes.
And so the priest never.
No.
Okay.
It just. I mean, you always get creep. You always.
Are
get
you sure it's
vibe.
not like blocked out somewhere in your mind?
No,
we got to like.
I remembered all the details of what I told you, so I do remember like. And then we had like the actual service was like in his living room, and it was like 20 people jammed in that thing. And this guy was like a total showman, you know what I mean? Just all like bombastic.
It was probably a cult of some sort.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like I was like, whoa, like they're like, oh, we're gonna go to church. I'm like, okay, let's go to church.
We're here.
So this one's let's see what it's all about. And it's like walk down the street and it's in some dude's house, and I'm like, all right, hold on a minute. And then all these cars pull up. And that's how, you're right. That's how cults start. It's one guy with comic books about how Black Sabbath is the devil.
Well, I remember we were altar boys at one point when we were, I don't know, 6, 8 years old, maybe 7 and 9. And I'm like sitting there racking my brain going, I don't remember much about it. It wasn't that long.
Because you blocked it out, Sean.
Yeah. Is there something in there? I'm like always paranoid that one day I'm going to wake up and then just have like visions of getting piddled or something, and
I remember my memory of that was like, there was one time where we had to light like the candles and I was lighting like, those old like matchbooks, like these old paper.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm trying to light this. Yeah. So I'm trying to light this candle, like in the middle of the service for something. And I kept trying to light the matches, but they weren't lighting. And then, like, when they did light, they'd burn the shit out of my fingers. So it was, I think it took like 10 minutes. I was just up there, like flicking these things. And then finally, one of the like deacons comes up with like one of those lighters you use to light a barbecue, and he just like lit the candle for me, and I was like, "You dick! Why didn't you just give me that in the first place?"
Yeah.
So I'm not up here lighting these stupid paper matches for like
Deacons.
10 minutes, looking like an idiot, you know. Yeah, and then
I just remember standing there with like that stupid little golden plate just in case somebody drops like the Jesus biscuit.
right,
And you have to like
yeah.
hold it up and you're just sitting there like, God, I don't want to do this. Why am I having to do this?
Yeah,
It was miserable.
yeah.
I was like in
It's just-
second grade, I think.
Yeah, it's just not for me. You know, I mean, I understand it is fascinating, and I'm just not really into people imposing anything on you without allowing you to explore it on your own or question it even.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, because they do raise it does raise a lot of questions. So I think like back at what you were saying originally, like with the rational mind, it's like the rational mind will challenge it or question it, whereas people who just, you know, like you said, drink the Kool-Aid, they are fine with it, you know, and they just subscribe to that form of life. If it makes them happy, great. You know, that's fine. I'm not taking that away from them. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. You won't be seeing me go to some island in the middle of nowhere anytime soon.
Hey, you guys heard of Jesus?
Yeah. Was this guy a hippie, you think?
Yeah, right.
You played him some Grateful Dead. He's like, hey, guys, check out this Dark Star from 72. Like, zip, zip, zip. Dead.
Yeah, right.
Like, hey, check out this sweet jam.
Dark Star. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Sean,
done.
that's Saint Stephen.
Oh, all right, my bad. Was it? Jeez. Reel
Check
that
out this
one in.
tasty. Check out this tasty jam.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
This is a 20-minute bathtub gin.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Into Down with Disease.
Anyway,
Wowzers.
let's wrap it up. We talked about a bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too. It's the weird episode.
Yeah, 51 is where it all went downhill.
We got budgeting and religion. That's the two takeaways you can get.
Yeah,
We did a
you heard it
brief
here
detour.
first.
Yeah, we just kind of detoured into both. We talked about a little bit of sex.
Yeah.
Keep it, you know,
Sex,
keep it steamy
finance,
for all
and
you.
Jesus.
Yes, weird sex.
Anyway, so thanks again for stopping by, everybody. Hope you had as much fun as we did. Follow us over at our Facebook page if you want to stay plugged in. You can follow me over at Twitter at Sean Harsh, HARSCH, or you can follow Ryan at Ryan Harsh on Twitter. And same with Instagrams and all that kind of stuff. So stay connected. Looking forward to next week on episode 52, where we'll be talking about mescaline, guns, and zero gravity.
And how to start your own cult.
It's how to start your own cult.
With Jesus Black Sabbath comic books.
Yes, Jesus Boot Camp. All right. In the meantime, everyone have a good one. You just take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.